Hi everyone, I am back and I'm so excited for today's topic. So, this is day two of the Ascension activation. I am feeling like so much energy in my body right now. This is like so incredible and exciting because I have a lot of information to share today. I made some notes earlier and it's like an entire typed page of like 9-point font. So we have a lot to get through, but I will try to keep it concise and I will try to keep it as easy to understand as possible because this can be a dense topic. This can be a lot to kind of like wrap your head around. So stay with me and please ask me any questions along the way. Feel free to put them in the comments and I will answer them throughout. So, 5D consciousness. So let me just put this in context a little bit. So this whole series that I'm doing, the Ascension activation, is really around becoming the master of your own reality, right? Really understanding how to work with the energy of the quantum field in order to attract in the life that you're wanting and let go of the things that you are no longer wanting, that's no longer feeling aligned for you, that's no longer serving you. Okay. So, this topic around connecting and activating your 5D consciousness is a crucial piece in really being able to become the master of your reality because it requires you to tap into a different frequency, right? And that's what 5D consciousness is. It's a different frequency, it's a higher frequency than this 3D reality that we are currently living in. However, we are in an amazing time on planet Earth where we are actually beginning to shift into 5D consciousness. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that. Okay. So, just to give you a little background information on this topic and why I am so lit up by this, I have been always interested in understanding different levels of consciousness and ways to expand my own consciousness. So, my journey around this topic began when I was only about 19 or 20 years old, right around when I discovered breath work. I started to be super drawn to the energy of the Pleiadians. And I don't know if any of you know the Pleiadians. If you've watched my videos before, then you know that I channel the Pleiadians, but they are light beings. They are fifth dimensional light beings that are here. One of the reasons they're here is to help us on planet Earth help the planet ascend into 5D consciousness and become a more loving and harmonious place. So I've always felt super connected to the Pleiadians, and I've always felt like I was actually one of them in a former life or felt the super connection to them. So when I was about 19 or 20, I started reading all of these books that were channeled messages from the Pleiadians, and there was different. And I can put the books, I can post them up there if you guys want to read them. But the main one that I got really super into when I was younger is called the Pleiadian Agenda, and it's channeled transmissions through this woman named Barbara Handclough, and she wrote a book of messages from the Pleiadians around them helping the ascension of the planet, helping people wake up to their power and to understanding that they are capable of so much more than we currently think, right? And they have been talking, this was, back in the early 2000s when I was reading this information, but they have been talking about this time on Earth for many years. And I know some of you know that around the predictions around the Mayan calendar. And most of all of the ancient traditions have been predicting that around this time, beginning in 2012, that the Earth was moving into a lighter vibration. The Pleiadians call this photon belt, which is essentially a belt of light that the Earth is moving into. So essentially, our consciousness is raising, right? It's already happening. But what 5D consciousness is, like I said, is a higher vibrational frequency that allows you to tap in to another level of information, right? It's a higher frequency of information, and everyone can tap into this, right? A good example of this is if any of you are familiar with the Akashic records, right? The information in the Akashic records is just essentially a wealth of knowledge and information that anyone can tap into when you learn how to access this frequency, which is 5D consciousness. Okay. So, so right now we are at a very special time on the planet where we are beginning to move into 5D consciousness. Okay. So what is 5D consciousness? Like I said, it's a higher vibrational frequency, but some words to help you understand what that means. Okay. So infinite possibility, right? And if you've listened to my videos before, you've heard me talk about the realm of infinite possibility, the quantum field where all possibilities are available to you. This is the frequency, the field that we tap into when we are doing breath work, which is why I always talk about this. So infinite possibility, the quantum field, and this is also the frequency of love, right? It's not the thought of love, it's the feeling of love, of oneness, of harmony, of understanding. It's also about having a wider perspective. And I'm going to get into this more tomorrow when I talk about the perspective of your soul. But it's about stepping back and understanding the bigger picture and understanding why things are unfolding the way that they are. It's a knowing that there is a deeper meaning and reason to things other than what you may be seeing in your 3D reality. Okay. Let's see, did I miss anything? Oh, the other big thing about 5D consciousness is remaining neutral, right? It's being able to step back and say, okay, I'm not going to allow myself to go into the fear or any of these extreme emotions. I'm going to remain neutral and kind of sit back and be the observer. And I know a lot of you who practice meditation, one of the things that you learn in meditation is to be the observer of your own thoughts, right? So it's essentially the same thing where you kind of sit back and become the observer of your reality instead of kind of getting swept up in the circumstances and the emotions surrounding them. You kind of step back as the observer. Okay, so that's part of that 5D consciousness where you're observing your thoughts, you're observing yourself as the thinker rather than just thinking. Okay, does that make sense? Let me know if you guys have any questions about this. Okay. So the other thing I really want to cover around this is when I'm talking about 5D consciousness, I will be comparing it a lot to 3D consciousness or this 3D reality that we're currently living in. So I want to explain what that is too, so you have an understanding of like what that is if you're not used to these terms or you would like clarification around them. So the 3D is like the physical world, right? It's linear time. It's matter, what you can like touch, taste, feel. It's your five senses, right? So in this reality, it takes a long time to manifest, right? It's this feeling of like linear time, like you have to do this and then this and then this in order to make something happen, right? Manifestation and creating what you want in the 3D reality can take a really long time, right? And there's also this concept of Newtonian physics, which is different than quantum physics. Quantum physics says everything is happening simultaneously, where Newtonian physics is kind of this like linear way of thinking that everything kind of happens in a line, right? Which is kind of how we see reality right now, that there's like a timeline of things happening, right? So that's 3D. The other thing that's really important to understand about 3D is the polarity in 3D reality, okay? So it's like love or hate, pain or pleasure. There's all these different, like black and white, binary kind of things happening. So that's really what our 3D reality is. So this is kind of like our old way of thinking, right? Like it's either this or that. Like you're either you either like Trump or you don't like Trump. Like that type of thinking where it's just one thing or the other, okay? And in 5D, like I was saying, it's that consciousness where you kind of step back, you are the observer, you're neutral, and you don't get caught up in, well, I'm this or I'm that, or you're against me or you're with me type of thinking, okay? So let me know if that makes sense. Again, let me know if you guys have any questions. I know this is like a lot of information, and I want to know if you're with me so far, okay? Okay. So, so a little more about 5D. So all things are kind of happening simultaneously in the 5D reality. And I want to talk about this a little bit because this is kind of fun. So in the 5D reality, time is not linear, right? And you might like, this was a really hard concept for me to get my head around, right? Well, it's like, how is time not linear? How are all things happening at once, right? So I'm going to give you a really good example that I think is a really fun way to think about this. So I'm sure many of you watching have heard of or done inner child work, right? It's a really common thing when we're going through healing and transformation is like I was talking about yesterday. Oh, thanks, Emily. You're with me. Good. Okay. So, like I was talking about yesterday, and please, guys, let me know if you have questions. So, like I was talking about yesterday with understanding where your triggers and your fears are coming from in childhood. Okay. So, what we do is we go back and heal those things from childhood, right? So, inner child work is essentially that 5D consciousness idea of time travel, right? You are essentially time traveling when you're doing inner child work because you're going back to a different time in your life and you are changing the story. You're changing the timeline. So essentially, you are time traveling, going back, changing what happened so that the result in present time can be different, right? Isn't that what they did in like Back to the Future? Like it's the same thing. So that is an example of how time is not linear and how multiple things can be happening all at once because we actually are able to go back in time and change things that have happened and be able to heal from them. That's what personal growth and healing is all about, right? We go back and heal. Oh, Amy, good. You just tapped on an inner child work, exactly what you're working through. Awesome. Then you definitely want to stay on for this. And I know a lot of us are doing inner child work right now. I just healed something huge from childhood, which I might get into if I have time to share with you guys. So anyway, yes. So all this healing work that we're doing, this is 5D consciousness because we are actually going back and healing things that have happened in the past and changing the outcome in present time. So the 5D consciousness is this idea that all things are happening simultaneously and that infinite possibilities are available to you if you open up to this frequency. Okay? So, let me just, okay. So the other thing that I want to mention too about the quantum field and 5D consciousness is around quantum physics, which basically has already proven that energy and matter are the same thing, right? So, and I know this is like a little scientific, and I'm definitely not a scientific person, but I think this is really interesting that like scientists used to think that energy and matter, like 3D, matter were separate things, and quantum physics has actually proven that when you break them down to the most basic level, they're actually the same exact thing. So it's basically been scientifically proven that you can create matter from your thoughts. The energy of your thoughts creates physical things in reality. So that's been scientifically proven. Think about that for a second. Also, I just want to say really quick as a side note, as I was getting ready for this live, I looked in the mirror and I've been kind of channeling this information all day and opening up to this 5D consciousness stuff. And I have this huge like red pimple right on my third eye. I don't know if anyone can see that. I think it's pretty obvious, but I was like, and I never get pimples, which is so weird. So now I have this like third eye mark happening right here. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, okay. So yeah, so it's basically been scientifically proven that we create our reality from our thoughts, okay? And usually it's our subconscious thoughts. However, the way to take control over this, the way to take agency over this is to understand how to tap into this 5D consciousness so that you can create from this field, right? And if you've ever watched Joe Dispenza, he explains this really well, like scientifically. So if you're one of those scientific people that likes things broken down for you really well, then I would definitely go watch him if you haven't already. I know most people probably have because he's super popular. Okay. So how do you tap into this field, right? So you're like, okay, this sounds great, Elise, but how do I do this? Okay. So no surprise here. To me, the best way to tap into the frequency of 5D is through breath work. Also, meditation is a great way to do this too. But the main thing is closing your eyes and connecting with your breath, connecting into present time, right? Because the energy, the frequency of 5D consciousness, the frequency of this quantum field lives in the present moment. Okay. So the more that you can practice allowing yourself to be present with yourself, present with your breath, you will begin to tap into this 5D consciousness. So, sometimes that can be difficult if there is a lot of old negative thinking within you, if you are still kind of stuck on things that have happened in the past, you're still living in reaction to things that have happened in the past, then it will be harder for you to tap into this frequency because your mind is living in the past. And what quantum physics has taught us is that if your mind is in the past, then all of you is in the past because we create matter from our thinking, which again has been scientifically proven. So, if you want to be able to tap into this frequency, it is really, really important to be able to let go of the old stuck energy from the past, the old traumas from the past, so that you can more clearly and easily connect to the energy of 5D consciousness. Okay? So, that's why I say breathwork is the most efficient way to do this because not only will you tap in to the quantum field, to this field of infinite possibilities as you focus on your breath, but you will release anything that is blocking you physically through the breath. So it's twofold, right? You're tapping in to this frequency through your breath, and then whatever is stuck moves out of your body because when you start to do the breath work, energy begins to move and anything that is no longer serving you will leave your body, physically leave your body. And that's what's so amazing about this work is you can let go of whatever is holding you back and you begin to tap into this field where now things are available to you, a life is available to you that you never even thought was a possibility for you because you're tapping into this field. Okay. So the what I've really been working on lately is creating these breathwork activations that will literally put you into this state so that you can begin to create from this field, right? This is what I'm like super pumped about doing right now, right? So before I was working more with one-on-one clients in private breathwork sessions, but now I've realized that I can create these audio recordings of guiding people through breathwork sessions to activate their 5D consciousness and begin to create from this field. So in these sessions, I'm actually guiding you to let go of whatever is blocking you, whether it's fear, pain, doubt, whatever it is. I guide you to release it through the breath, and then we open up and activate your 5D consciousness. So then you can begin to start to create exactly what you want. And let me tell you, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then you can begin to tap into this field more regularly, even when you're not doing breath work. Okay. And I think that was the next thing. So you can now tap in to this higher frequency and also begin to receive messages, right? So this is something that I talk about a lot, is how to receive the messages from your higher self, the information, the infinite wisdom from this higher frequency, right? Because yes, you want to be able to tap into this higher frequency, but you also want to be able to interact with the information that you're getting. You want to be able to start to ask certain questions and receive answers, right? So now that I have really learned how to tap into this frequency and receive answers, every morning I go into meditation and I ask the questions that I want to know, like, what should I focus on in my business? What should I do about this situation with my kids? Like, all of these things, the information and infinite wisdom is living in the 5D consciousness. It's there for you. It's living in that frequency. You just have to learn how to tap into it. So by practicing regularly through breath work, you can allow yourself to tap into this frequency. And then as you get used to it, you can tap into it whenever you want on a more regular basis and continue to receive those messages about what you should do next, what you should be focusing on, where you should be going, right? Because so many people reach out to me constantly and they're like, I don't know, I'm confused. I don't know what I should be doing, or I think I want to do this, but I'm scared and I don't know and I'm not sure and all of this. And that's because we don't trust ourselves, right? Because we're not allowing ourselves to tap in to this infinite energy, this infinite wisdom that's available to us. We can all do this, right? It's just about learning how to tap in. And through these activations, these breathwork activations that I've created, you can tap into this and you can start to receive these messages on your own, right? And then you can start to do it on a daily basis without having to, sit and do breath work for 45 minutes or a half hour. Okay, so I want to go over like simple tricks to staying in this frequency after your breath work or meditation, okay? Because I know this is like probably what you're thinking. It's like, okay, so I have to do breath work in order to tap into this. And the answer is that's what's going to help you be able to understand what this frequency is and really start to tap into it. But then you can tap into it just in your everyday life, okay? So some of the things that are really, really important, guys, and I can't stress this enough, avoid getting sucked in to the polarity of like us and them or fear-based thinking, right? And the number one thing that means is really be careful about what you are inputting into your system, right? The news, like, don't watch the news. I mean, I know some people are like really bad about that, or really not bad about that, but don't like that I said that, because you're like, well, I need to be informed, right? I just want to give you a quick story. So, a client that I just finished working with, when I started seeing him, he was dealing with overwhelming anxiety. He said to me, I have so much anxiety. I can't relax. I can't function, right? I'm not sleeping. And you know what I did? I had him remove Twitter from his phone. I had him remove the CNN app from his phone, and he distilled down what he was inputting into one news show per day, which was like, I don't know, like a lighter kind of show, right? So he literally took away every news thing that he was watching, and the next week that I saw him, he was a completely different person. He felt so much better. Hey, Jocelyn. He felt so much better just in that 1 week of not reading Twitter, not watching the news, and not reading his CNN app. So, guys, this is no joke. Like, this stuff will affect you and it will lower your vibration. So, if you are wanting to step into 5D consciousness, don't watch the news. There's other ways to find out about what's going on in the world. And, like, if you want to create your own reality, then you need to stop letting other realities into your reality that don't feel aligned with you, or you're never going to be able to create that reality that you desire. Okay, so other simple tricks to staying in this frequency. Staying away from fear-based information, aka the news, but any kind of information that's coming at you that doesn't align with you or doesn't make you feel good, don't do it. Just stay away from it. And if you do feel the need that you really need to stay informed, keep it brief and use your intuition to see if you really resonate with the information. So just because you see something doesn't mean that it's true, right? Use your discernment, use your intuition to say, is this really resonating with me? Okay, this is part of stepping into 5D consciousness, is taking complete agency over your life, knowing that you are the only authority about what happens in your life. There's no one outside of you that's telling you what's good for you or what's right for you other than you. No one knows that answer except for you. So use your intuition and use your discernment to decide if you really want this information being inputted, okay? Also, staying neutral, right? So it's really easy to get sucked into like, oh my God, like this happened in the world. I know there's so many crazy things happening in the world, right? And it's okay to like have opinions on them or speak out if you feel like something's wrong. That's totally fine. But to get sucked into the emotionality of it and being overly upset and emotional where it lowers your vibration and brings down your sense of well-being, that is not 5D consciousness, right? Trying to remain neutral, like I said, stepping back and being the observer and not getting sucked into the polarity, that's 5D consciousness, okay? So that is a really good tip or trick to try to stay neutral, especially. So this really ties into what I was talking about yesterday, guys, about being triggered and about taking responsibility for your emotions, right? So a really good example of this is like the example I gave yesterday about my husband, right? When he triggers me, when I feel like he's like done something wrong to me, right? Instead of going into that negative emotion, like I'm the victim and he's done something wrong to me, I step back, I stay neutral, and I look at the emotion that's coming up. What is it trying to tell me? What opportunity right now do I have for healing? That's 5D consciousness. Remaining neutral and looking at the emotion. And don't get me wrong, this is not easy, guys. This takes practice, but the breath work will get you there and it'll happen quickly. Okay, so yeah, so this is something we're gonna get in more tomorrow, but I just want to mention it right now, is around zooming out your perspective, right? So if you think about a camera that's all the way zoomed in, that's kind of what 3D reality is like, where you can kind of only see what's in front of you and you kind of only see like this circumstantial evidence, like the circumstances in your life, and what's happening out here. But if you begin to zoom the camera out and look at the whole picture of everything that's happening in your life and how everything is unfolding, then you begin to look at things differently. You begin to have a new understanding of why things are unfolding the way that they are, and you can begin to feel more comfortable in what's happening for you and why it's happening, right? So that thing that in 3D reality or in that zoomed in lens looks like it's a problem or a rejection or a disaster, really when you zoom out and you take a wider perspective and look at the whole story, you realize that that thing happened for a reason. And that's what we're going to get into more tomorrow when we start talking about becoming an ascended master and looking at your life through the perspective of your soul. Okay, so that's going to be more tomorrow. Okay, so let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, so trying not to get sucked into that polarization, which is a lower vibration of fear and of thinking it's like us or them mentality. Even if there's people that are doing things that you think are horrible, right? Not getting sucked into the emotionality of it and being able to take a step back and being more neutral and looking at the bigger picture of why things are unfolding. That's 5D consciousness. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any questions about this. Oh, Amy, you can't wait for that. Awesome, join me tomorrow. Okay, so if you guys want to begin to tap into this 5D consciousness, I have created a very accessible way for you to do this. I put the link up there. It's called the Abundance Activation Bundle. If you are interested in seeing how breath work can really start to propel you forward and you want to like dip your toe in and see how breath work can help you, this is the thing for you. I created this for people who are really wanting to see what breathwork is all about. It's an amazing, super accessible price. It's 3 really powerful breathwork sessions on releasing fear, on opening up the deeper connection to your higher self, and then opening up to the full abundance from the universe. These breathwork sessions are super activating, they're super powerful. It also comes with 3 videos and really powerful journaling activations to get you propelled to the next level. And I have a coupon code there for 20% off if you use the code ACTIVATE. That's only until Saturday. Guys, this is really something that everyone needs because you can get this. You don't even have to do it right away if you're still a little bit like, I don't know. But get it while I still have the 20% thing going on, because this is something you're going to have forever. You can use these breathwork sessions for the rest of your life to continue to activate and transform and heal over and over and over again. Every time you lay down and do one of these breathwork sessions, you will get a deeper level of transformation, okay? So let me know if you guys have any questions about that. The link to that is right in the chat. And then tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to be talking about becoming an ascended master and looking at things from the perspective of your soul, which is super, super powerful. So if no one has any other questions about anything, oh, I forgot, I wanted to pull a card for the group. I got these amazing new cards, which I showed you guys yesterday. It's the Starseed Oracle. So I'm just going to pull a couple to just ask what we need to do to really tap into our 5D consciousness. What, as a collective, do we need to focus on to really begin to tap into our 5D consciousness? Okay. Love it. I love it. Okay. Oh, this is so good. Okay. So the first card that came up, these cards are so beautiful, by the way, is Earth School. So it says life lessons, soul growth, study, and higher learning. So this is perfect for right now, right? And this is perfect for what we're talking about, because this is about ascending to a higher level of mastery, a higher level of understanding about why we're on this planet and what we need to do next, like what our soul mission is. Because right now we're all being activated to step into that knowing, to step into our power of why we're on this planet, what our mission is, and to like get to it, right? So this is perfect. It's all about like stepping into that higher level of consciousness, that higher learning of why we're on this planet. Okay, and then the other one that came up is Weight of the World. And this says boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. Oh my God, how perfect is that? If you want to step into 5D consciousness more fully, you have to let go of what you're holding onto from the past, okay? It's not really an option, okay? If you want to be able to move forward and ascend and grow and be this new version of yourself, you have to be able to let go of what happened in the past. And because some people are like, oh, well, I don't have anything that happened in my past. I'm fine with everything. And that may be true on like in this 3D reality. However, if you have any blocks, if there is anything in your life that you're wanting to create that is not showing up for you, that means you have some kind of block or limiting belief around that thing that you picked up from something that happened in the past, period. So if you say you don't want to go back and look at your past, if you want to be able to create the life you desire, you got to go back and look at it. And that's just how it is. So let it go. And you can use the breath work to do that. It's the most efficient way. Okay. So if no one has any questions, I am going to hop off now. This was so fun. Tune in tomorrow to hear about how to become an ascended master. And I will see you guys then. Bye.